Now welcome to another lightning response video. This time we got a question from Nathan Beverly who asked, "Hey Thor, I think there are two big problems creating the current situation. First, Disney knows that key jangling works from fan reactions to Mando Season 2, Kenobi, Ahsoka, etc. This is partly the fault of the fans because we're just clapping for the old familiar favorites regardless of quality. The second problem is that even if key jangling works, there are no keys to jangle in the case of the sequel trilogy. Nobody cares about Rey, Finn, or Poe. I'm willing to bet the average person has no idea who Maz is, let alone one of the more obscure characters. So with no high cards left in their hand, Disney is forced to play with the cards they haven't used up yet, and those cards are worthless." Alright, so I'm mainly going to talk about the first half of the question or comment there, about the key jangling, because I see this brought up all the time. People saying they're just trying to nostalgia bait you, or key jangling, whatever you want to call it, fan service. There seem to be many different names you can go with. But the idea behind it is basically you take what has worked before, the characters that everybody loves, you put them on screen and people are going to watch because they love the old character, and there's nothing really else to it than that. It's just using your love for the character to lure you in and to get your money to pay for the content, whatever it might be, movie, show, whatever. And first of all, I don't think it is an inherently bad thing to use these fan favorite characters, these legacy characters, in ways that, yes, can feel a bit fan servicey at times. I think we've gotten to this point now where anytime we see an old character or hear about an old character potentially being used, we immediately assume it's just going to be for the worst, that it is just a cash grab, and I understand why people are feeling that way. We have gotten some bad shows that have used old characters in ways that I feel like, yeah, no effort was put in. They just used this old character and expected people to watch, and as you pointed out in your comment, people did watch. Anyway, like I was saying, I don't think it is inherently bad. I think they are fan favorite characters for a reason, and that's because, well, people love the characters. They want to see them. I want to see Luke Skywalker again because he's my favorite character, and I say that even after everything they've done to him in the past. One of the best moments of Disney Star Wars was arguably The Mandalorian Season 2, him showing up at the end. So yes, it can be done well. It can be enjoyable. It can be a good thing. I think the problem is that it has been misused or used too much or exploited, and to the point where, again, we are supposed to just watch because Obi-Wan is in it. Yay, look, it's Obi-Wan, go watch it now. Which also then ties into a reliance on it. We don't really have a good idea, but again, we know if we put Kenobi in it, people are going to watch. So that's been the problem. Not necessarily it in itself is bad. I don't think fan service is bad. I think we all love and want to see those old characters again in some capacity in the future. I mean, what was the thing everybody was excited for the sequel trilogy? Yeah, I think we wanted to see new characters, new things, new stories. But the thing we were most excited for was seeing the original trilogy cast again. That is 100% what sold the sequel trilogy. The fact that we were going to see our heroes again, and that we hoped and thought they were going to do something heroic again, not all be broken and defeated. That is the reason why The Force Awakens made $2 billion, and the reason why the subsequent films made less is because, well, because they didn't show respect to those old characters, and this is where the whole key jangling thing starts to come from, I believe. This is where we started to lose trust, and why we now fear and dread the fact that they might use Luke Skywalker again, even though, yes, they did get him right in Mando Season 2. But we just assume it's a trap, that they're just going to use them to get us to watch, and there's no thought or real purpose behind actually using them. They're not furthering the characters or using them in a way that is actually meaningful. They're just using them to get your money. And I really do feel like there are places and purposes where they could still be used. All the time, I go to Anakin and Ahsoka Season 1. How many people just say, oh, that was the ultimate key jangling moment, that was terrible, they should have never used him, when in reality, I mean, Anakin is a huge, huge part of Ahsoka's story. I would actually say it's in reverse, where Ahsoka is just a huge part of Anakin's story, and she's kind of always been a footnote in his story, and this was her chance to kind of break free from that. Now, I'm not just saying she's a footnote character or she's a bad character, but you get what I'm saying. She's always been in the shadow of Anakin. She's always been so heavily attached to him, so not dealing with that in some capacity in her own show would have felt off to me. And since Anakin is a Force ghost, he can come back and interact with her. Now, why he didn't do that with Luke in the sequel trilogy, let's not try to figure that out. But I think it makes total sense for Anakin to show up and try to help Ahsoka when she is feeling bad about herself for some reason, because she's having trouble with Sabine. Now, I do think how it was done in that 5th episode wasn't great, I appreciate the effort. I think it was okay. I just think the message was really kind of confusing. It wasn't presented well. This whole I want to live thing just didn't seem to make a lot of sense. I mean, she's been doing things for like the last 30 years since she parted with Anakin and found out that he was Vader, or it's been like 10 years since she found out he's Vader in Rebels. But it's been a while, and she's been a good person this whole time. She's been helping the rebellion. She's been helping the New Republic, it seems. I don't know why suddenly here and now she has this crisis of identity where she feels like she's going to fall to the dark side, which is what I really think they're trying to imply here. I think Filoni wants to imply that since, of course, she was the apprentice of Anakin and she was fighting in a war when she was like 13 years old, that she feels like I could fall to the dark side at any time, which, yeah, that's possible. Anybody can fall to the dark side at any time. In theory, it is always a part of you, as I always talk about. But what I think Filoni was trying to go for there is her doubt in herself that, oh, I could fall to the dark side, is holding her back with her training with Sabine, where she has so much doubt in herself that she doesn't think she can train her well enough to, avoid Sabine falling to the dark side and all of that, or just being not the best Jedi she could be. Or really what it seems like is she doesn't want to pass on the negative legacy of Anakin. And I really don't think it was presented that well in the episode. It was kind of clunky and confusing. But anyway, my point stands. I do think that was a good time to bring in Anakin, to bring back Hayden Christensen, who everybody loves Hayden Christensen these days, it feels like. So why not let him come back and be in Star Wars and be a part of it? Why not let fans who love Hayden or who love Anakin just be able to see him on screen and have him do cool stuff here and there? I honestly don't think there's anything wrong with that as long as the intent and the story behind it is good. Not just, well, we know you're going to watch because Anakin's in it. That's the problem. That is the 100% problem here. We have lost faith in Disney. Well, some of us never really had too much faith in them, but you get what I'm saying. We've lost faith that when we hear that a character like Anakin or Luke or whatever it's going to be, that they're going to be in one of these shows or movies, we just know the intent is not in the right place, or we don't feel like it's going to be. That they just want our money. They don't care about the integrity of the character. They don't care about how much we care about the character. They just know we care, and thus they can use them, and we will watch, and that's the real problem here. All right, and that is enough rambling for this time, so it is your turn to now take to the comments below and tell me what you think about key jangling or nostalgia baiting, and that's just a name we've come up with lately because, again, they, I think, have been exploiting it. But what do you think about it? Leave your comments below. Or ask a question for a future lightning response video. What you do is you start your comment off with, "Hey Thor, ask a question." I try to answer it in a future video. And like I always say, I do read them all. I don't necessarily get to answer them all, but I do read them all, and I try to answer as many as I can. But again, whatever the case may be, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.